All right.
And here we are back to the Eric and Liz show. Hello, Liz. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Eric? How's it been?
Very well, very well. And we have something really special this month. It's GBS Awareness Month. And so our first show guest, well, in this wonderful month of May, I may say, oh God, that was weird. Anyhow, will be a GBS survivor.
Yes. So it is GBS CIDP Awareness Month. It's a neurological disease of the nervous system. And I actually, in 2013, I was able to get a proclamation for the GBS Foundation for the San Diego chapter saying that it's GBS CIDP Awareness Month.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. Well, I would say without further ado, we're going to admit our guest, Serena.
All right.
And she's been patiently waiting in the waiting room.
All right.
So I guess she's going to be happy to be on air instead
Yes.
of just waiting, for being admitted. Hello, Serena.
Hi.
Hey,
We can already hear
Serena.
you. We can't see
Hi.
you yet, but we can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank
All
you
right.
for taking out the time, in the day to be with us. Well, during this GBS month.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. Liz
Absolutely.
is my hero.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And are we going to be able to see you, Serena?
Oh, wait. Okay. Can you?
Yeah.
Well, we can see.
There you go.
There you are.
All right. You look lovely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let me introduce our guest today is Serena Tremaine, and she is a photography's model, and she also majored in the arts. And she's also a 20-year plus GBS survivor. And I met Serena during some of my shows at the Westgate. And she's been very, very supportive with me, and I certainly appreciate it. And she has a very colorful background in modeling and doing all sorts of cool things. So Serena, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi. I was born in San Francisco, and my father was a photographer and my mother was his model. So I've been interested in photography, painting. I do stained glass, just anything I can do with my hands, I absolutely love. And so my mother and my father raised a little model. That's what they had.
All right.
And
so
also to like animals.
Oh, can you hear Tito?
Oh, absolutely. I think Tito wants to be interviewed also.
He's really a ham. I don't know where he is.
All right. So since this is GBS and CIDP Awareness Month, if you don't mind, can we talk a little bit about GBS and give us your story? Like, how did you, everyone always has a story on how they contracted GBS. It's not contagious, it's not hereditary, but it does not discriminate. It will, anybody can get GBS.
Yes.
So could you please tell us a little bit about your journey through GBS and when you were diagnosed?
It was the most amazing thing in the world. It of course, everybody is different. Do you
Right.
mind if I shut this dog up a little bit?
Yeah, no.
Sure,
We give
please.
you we give
Hold
you
on.
some time off. So I guess Tito is now being hunted down. You see, this is always what I love about live shows. You know,
Right.
I think I got him.
you're there, you're in the moment.
Anyway,
It's okay. Tito doesn't care. It's fine.
it happened all of a sudden. It was the most amazing thing. I was at work and I worked with a whole bunch of doctors and my whole body turned red. And
Oh, wow.
so they sent me to the pharmacy to get something. And when I arrived at the pharmacy, they called 911. I mean, I was completely, my eyes were red. I was just completely red. It was amazing. So I called my family doctor. And the next day, a doctor from the CDC, from the Center for Disease Control, met me across the street from Pomona Valley Hospital. And by that time, I didn't have any reflexes. I couldn't move. I couldn't talk, you know, that kind of thing. And he ended up carrying me across the street to the hospital. And the thing that happens with a lot of Guillain-Barré patients is they don't believe it. It's so, you know, everything is so crazy. The things that happen to you are so crazy. And so I stayed at the hospital for a few hours with the Center for Disease Control, and they were trying to figure out what to do. The diagnosis at that time, or probably still is for Guillain-Barré, was a LP, was a lumbar puncture, a spinal tap.
Exactly.
And isn't that amazing? They diagnosed something from a spinal tap.
Oh yeah, that's why they want to be so sure, you know, that they're on point, because they don't want to have to give you that if they don't have to. But you know,
like I said, by the time the Center for Disease Control doctor carried me across the street to the hospital, I lost everything. It was absolutely amazing. And of course, they didn't know what it was.
Right.
And recently, I think we talked about this. I didn't know Guillain-Barré was autoimmune.
Right, it is.
Yeah. And I have lupus, and I'm the autoimmune queen. I have the jackpot. I have every autoimmune thing you can think of. And so at that time, my rheumatologist was really, really interested in this with the CDC people, but how did this happen? And I wasn't the only one. One of my coworkers also, they never really pinned it down to Guillain-Barré, but she had all the symptoms. She couldn't feel her feet and all that kind of thing. So that's how it went. In a couple of days in the hospital. Well, actually, I spent 6 months in the hospital, but a couple of days to begin with before the spinal tap. Then, yeah, when they did the spinal tap, they discovered, you know, what the problem was. One of the things that was really interesting about being in the hospital, not being able to move, was they had you point at a little blackboard. Do you remember that? Pointed and spelled things out for the nurses and stuff. That was really cool. I mean, there was a way to communicate, even though we really couldn't communicate.
Right.
And all you wanted to do was cry, right?
Exactly.
So, sorry to interrupt. So do I understand this right? You weren't able to speak?
No. I know there's all kinds of unusual things with Guillain-Barré that different people have. And I think I had all of them probably because I had lupus. Well, not probably, that was the diagnosis. You have the autoimmune trait, so you're going to have fun with this.
Right, because you do have to have all types of therapy. You have to have speech therapy, physical therapy, you know, once you're strong enough to do that. And so how long was it before you started to do some physical therapy?
It wasn't that long. I met Greg, a physical therapist that used to carry me around the room. So it was maybe 6 months.
Okay.
And that physical therapy in itself is a whole other story, because you meet all these people that are paralyzed and handicapped, and you all of a sudden you become a part of their lives.
Right.
You know, during physical therapy, people have seizures in your lap, and it's
Right.
just the most amazing lesson on life, I think. I think most people with Guillain-Barré say that too.
Right, exactly. So was there, Serena, during that time, did you get any type of treatment for GBS? Did they have anything for you?
Gamma globulin transfer.
Okay.
Yeah, IVIG.
Yeah, at that time when Serena got GBS, they had just started to get a treatment for it. When I had it, there was nothing. I just had to ride it out. I didn't have any kind of medication. That wasn't even, it was probably in the works, but you know, if you were able to get that, that was awesome, because it really does help.
That it was a wonderful thing, but you at the time they didn't realize a lot of things about Guillain-Barré. I think that they do now.
Right.
We visit people in the hospital and try to try to cheer them up and tell them that it's going to be okay. But
right.
I don't know if there are any big breakthroughs or if there's anything different that they can do now to help.
Right. It's just, you know, we all have to continue to be a big community and inspiring and motivating each other, because there's really not a lot one can do about GBS. You know, they do have the treatments, IVIG treatment and the plasmapheresis.
Right.
And other than that, with the physical therapy, but it is a time game. You know, time is of the essence, and you do have to have lots of as much of physical therapy as your body can handle. Sometimes you really do have to be careful with the physical therapy, because your body is really tired in itself, all your joints and everything. So your physical therapy has to be monitored. And they even consider, you brushing your teeth and certain things, all of that is physical therapy.
Activity, yeah.
Because just the things that we take for granted are some of the things that a GBS and CIDP patient is so very grateful for.
Yes.
These are small things.
Isn't it? So, it's absolutely amazing the way you can wake up one morning and by noon or that evening, you can't move.
Right, exactly. It literally works, pretty much that fast. And it takes you going to the emergency room for you to be diagnosed in the proper way. It's kind of hard to detect.
Emergency room.
Yeah.
So many people with Guillain-Barré went to the emergency room and they either sent them to a psychiatrist or, told them to go home. Veronica, a friend of mine, entered the hospital 3 or 4 times with Guillain-Barré and they sent her home. I remember the emergency room. I remember the nurses. I remember the CDC sent a couple of doctors from out of state to see me. And by that time, I figured out that I was really in trouble, that something was really, really wrong. And physical therapy, I still do physical therapy. I don't have any reflexes, so I have to continue to learn things.
So how big is the CBS population here in the United States?
As far as
GBS
patients?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure Liz does, but
yeah, it's 2 in 100,000.
Okay. Now, Liz, a while back, it was like 1 in a million, wasn't it?
Pretty much. It was,
20,
yeah.
30,
And
yeah.
Right. The numbers are going up. Yeah, they are.
2 in a million, basically.
Due to a lot of different things. Maybe I don't want to get into a lot of. Pardon me, Eric. I'm sorry.
No. So sorry. I was just doing the math again, and I was wrong. So.
Yeah. But they've come a long ways. You know what I mean? They, the emergency room doctors are really on it. People are getting diagnosed like that now because they're learning the symptoms, because it does mimic a stroke. They kept thinking I had a stroke. I got sent home like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I was hyperventilating. That's what they told me. Go blow in a paper bag. This is real.
Yeah.
And finally, once I just, could not walk anymore, then they started to look at different things, that's when they said, okay, we're going to do a spinal.
Yeah.
But it's something that you have to diagnose right away. That's the issue right there. It needs to be diagnosed right away.
And then there's all the diagnoses, MS, polio.
Right.
Everything that you can think of that doesn't apply to it all. And then there's the people. What's wrong with you? Why can't you walk? What have you done to yourself? I don't know if I'm the only one that experienced that, but that was really, really something. And then to go to therapy and experience the handicapped people and stuff. It was like a whole new world just opened up here of empathy and
Right.
understanding for me personally.
Right, exactly. You had to run the gamut, the wheelchair, the walker,
the leg
braces,
yeah.
All of that. Yeah, it's very, very real.
Yeah.
And you do have to have a lot of patience because your body will heal itself. The nerves, they will heal, but it does take some time.
Now, I don't know if I told you this, but recently I had a Guillain-Barré related foot problem. And it's one of those things, is it Guillain-Barré? Once again, is it rheumatoid arthritis? You have lupus. But the foot surgeon decided that very strong possibility that this was Guillain-Barré related.
Did he call it foot drop?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have problems with their feet. I even know of a young lady that had foot surgery. I had never seen that. I used to go and pay her a visit, and she actually, she had foot surgery. I don't know. Yeah. It turns your feet a certain way for certain people. Everybody has a different story. Definitely, it affects people differently.
I know, it's amazing. Something, I don't know, a lot of times I think that this was just an absolute horrible nightmare to happen. But on the other hand, like I've said before, working with the handicapped people, and I wasn't working with them, I was there for physical therapy, but that's what it felt like. It felt like a family after. And if there was anybody with Guillain-Barré, my neurologist, he still to this day will call me and say, hey, go see somebody in the hospital.
Right, exactly. So I totally understand. And a lot of GBS survivors and CIDP survivors, we all have something in common. It's a certain kind of bond that we all have because we know what each other, pretty much has been through.
It's amazing. I've tripped down a few runways since Guillain-Barré and felt like a complete idiot and had my model sister stand up for me to other people. It's still a part of me. Right,
of course. Yes, absolutely.
It's something you will never forget. And no matter where you are, I was on a boat sightseeing trip in Alaska, and I met this older couple whose grandson had Guillain-Barré, and they noticed my AFOs. They recognized my braces, and I spent the whole trip talking to them about it and trying to make them feel better because it was their grandson. When it's the children, it's a whole different thing.
So just to veer for a moment in another direction before we come back is, so yeah, a photographer's model. So when I heard that, I was like, I have to ask that question. So you have a model, so obviously there are different type of models. Who watched Zoolander knows there are even hand models, but a photographer's model.
A photographer's model, it's more of an old term because my father was a photographer, my mother was his model. And I love photographers. I love the work that they do. I love the whole artistic thing. And that's more as opposed to a technical, like you said, there's all different kinds of models. I pose for photographers. I do their print work for them. I do a lot of things like that. I love being in front of the camera. I love having my picture taken. So,
well, would you mind that we maybe share a couple of those pictures with our viewers and you comment on them?
of course.
Oh,
And by the way, Serena does not look her age.
Oh,
Don't let
yeah.
her fool you, because she is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Liz.
So talk about this photo.
Oh, isn't that cute? This is my stained glass work that I did in the background, by the way.
Oh,
This is wonderful photographer John Hawkins, and this was a shoot that we did at my house after another shoot. Notice the dirty feet.
that's okay.
So I'm just sitting on a table, and what they call this is POV, point of view. And it's what the photographer, it's what John Hawkins saw of me through the camera. And that's who you see there. That's what being a photographer's model is too, understanding what they need, what you need to give. But that's me and my stained glass in the background that I
That's
made.
beautiful. Do you sell that?
I did for a long time. The story about learning stained glass while you can't move your hands is hysterical. But I did. I used to tape my fingers together so I could cut.
Wow.
This picture was taken by Gary Keith, my mentor and photographer for many years. And he wrote a big story about it. This is all about no's, no false eyelashes, no this, no that, no Photoshop. And he took this completely, I had makeup on, but not, just topical makeup. And he took this beautiful picture of me a few years ago, just before my 70th birthday.
Wow, Serena.
just before.
Yeah. That was 3 years ago, by the way. This, another John Hawkins, fabulous picture. This is recent. Just, isn't that beautiful?
It is.
It's very beautiful picture.
That's what photography's all about. It's an emotion that you collaborate with the photographer together to do. Anybody can do it. It's concentration and training, I think.
Wow. I love that.
That's me and Alexis at your
that's at
your pop-up.
Right, the pop-up boutique. And I think that was the governor's suite.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And wasn't that around our birthdays?
It was in August.
That's Alexis Slater, another model, my best friend and I.
All right.
Oh, this is cute, isn't it?
I love that.
For so many years, they couldn't get me, before Guillain Barré, they couldn't get me to do a serious look on my face. I was just, as soon as the camera hit me, I'd be smiling. And John Hawkins, once again, pulled this serious look out of me. It's once again, it's me collaborating with the photographer to get something exceptional.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Cool. That's cute.
That's a 70-year-old right there.
Wow. I want to look like that when I grow up. That's cool, Serena.
But it's also, I would say you can see in the picture that you're feeling very comfortable.
Yeah.
With your body, with your age. It's sure that not every 70-year-old, is going to take those pictures. But on the other hand, just recently, I think Susan Summers did a whole new series of pictures. And, if you feel comfortable, I think that's the most important thing.
At Playboy, call me. I don't move my legs very well. They don't move they moved together, and I walk really pretty good, except stepping on curbs and stuff. But some of the poses are very difficult, like to move things together at the same time. And that was one of the problems that I had with modeling. I was never afraid that Guillain-Barré was going to interfere with my life in any way. But there's little things constantly, right? That pop up. Yeah.
So what they tell you, Serena, is that 10% of something won't come back. There'll be a 10% of something that you will always pretty much deal with for the rest of your life. Yeah, I'll never forget one time I was in the elevator with a doctor here in San Diego, and he told me, he said, how have you been? I said, I've been doing okay. And there was another doctor on this side. He said, smile. And I went, I couldn't do it. He said, yep. He said, see, I told you. In other words, like, I knew that wasn't going to come back. Because when I saw him like a couple of years before, it was still the same. So that was pretty much my 10%. But for somebody to actually, bring attention to that, that's pretty negative. I really didn't, I didn't like that. But, yeah.
There was a lot of that, Liz, a lot of, right? I could cry thinking about it. A lot of negative, a lot like walking around a store and somebody looks at your face and then they look down at the leg braces and they turn away, and a lot of questions. What did you do to yourself?
Yeah, like it's your fault.
I know. I heard a lot of that.
It's fascinating. I think, when I asked Liz, to be on a show with me where she is on camera, for 40, 50, 60 minutes, in a live environment, I remember you were a little hesitant. But then I was like, hey, there's no reason. There's really no reason. Now we are, nearly a year into the show, and it's just great, when you see the comments and how it's perceived. It's good that people see you, are curious, and also then understand.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's why it's so important that we have people for this GBS Awareness Month, on the show, also on the next show, which can tell their story. And I don't want to say normalize it because I think that it will never be normal for you.
Right.
But just having that awareness that there is this, sickness out there, that well, I don't know to what point it's even explainable.
Right.
Exactly.
It just hits you. And
it does.
And there's nothing you can do about it. And when you think that you have to have a spinal tap, which in itself is a very dangerous procedure.
Right, it is.
Just to actually be able, to find out what you have. I'm sure doctors are just hesitant.
Right.
And saying, hey, before I put that needle into your back, let's maybe explore different things. But then also, like having a stroke now, time is of the essence. You have to find out very soon what it is so you can start curing it.
Start treating it. That's right, Eric. That's right.
Liz, did they ever drop you in the hospital?
No, you know what? I hate to say this, but it's actually in my book. I fell at least 3 times. In my mind, I could walk.
I know.
I was trying to throw something in the trash.
And it didn't move.
And I just realized, like, you know what, girl, you cannot walk. My legs slid up under the bed, and I collapsed. Yeah, so I did it to myself. They took very good care of me. Long Beach Memorial Hospital in Long Beach, yeah. But I fell a couple of times, not realizing that, you know what, you really cannot walk. I just couldn't fathom that.
I know. It's almost impossible. It like, when am I going to wake up and everything's going to be okay? And it never,
Right,
I mean,
right.
I'm sure a lot of us have the areflexia and the things that stay with you. And I still have trouble getting up fast.
Right, right, exactly. There's a lot of people that still, I know a lot of people that are still with crutches and canes, you know, that have had it longer than I have. And those are just some of the things, you know. That's why I'm so very grateful. I really am. I'm so very grateful because it could have been so much worse, you know, for the long term.
Were you terrified?
Yeah, I was a little afraid. I was only 22 years old. Yeah, I was afraid.
Yeah.
You know, and then once I figured out, you know, you're going to be like this, and because there wasn't anyone to say, oh, you know, I had that before and you're going to be just fine. You know, I went years before I knew anybody that had it. So, you know, it was very trying. And now I realize that 2 or 3 years after I had GBS, I was actually still in a recovery state. I didn't realize that until pretty much now. You know,
I'm still in recovery. That's how I look. I'm still in recovery, and recognize it and do what you do, you know, in a small way, talk to people and try to get, you know, encourage them. But I know there's all kinds of things that can happen to you, but the Guillain-Barré thing was just, it was fascinating.
It's just, well, yeah, it was something.
What's going to happen today? You know,
Serena, I do have to say I admire you to be able to look at it in that way that you describe it as fascinating. You know, it's nearly like someone from the outside actually looking in to your own situation. How did your family and your environment take it?
They modified everything. There was a ramp to get into the house, type of thing, and
wow,
things were all modified. Liz, I have a beautiful, almost 50-year-old daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, and everybody was in complete shock because people can be cruel.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, and with something that is so rare as Guillain-Barré and so evasive and so shocking to people, you know, what's wrong with you? Why can't you get up? How many times did you hear that?
Or did you just come back from the dentist?
Oh, yeah, what's wrong with your face?
Yeah, but I've had to educate, and I never, it doesn't bother me. I've had to educate a few people. Photographers, you know, I love photographers, but a couple, you know, you kind of messed that picture up. You weren't smiling. And I just kind of pull them to the side and just tell them my story. And then, like, I don't really want to make you feel bad or anything like that, but I'm just going to educate you on, you know, why I don't have that full smile. I think they deserve to know sometimes, you know, because sometimes I wouldn't want to take pictures, you know, when it comes down to certain things. You over there, you know, come on, smile, give me that little, I'm like, oh God, okay. I mean, that has happened so many times, but you know, you can't judge a book by its cover. You really don't know someone's story. So just, you know, be kind, you know?
Yeah.
Really don't know.
Yeah, nobody wants to trip not getting up the curb and not being able to hold a coffee cup because it's too heavy.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, just to this day, I use plastic cups because coffee cups were too heavy for a long time. When did you start feeling that you were going to be okay?
When a friend of mine called me, I was still in the hospital. They just told me to reflect and, you know, do a lot of soul searching and just, you know, figure out some things while you're just laying there. And once I did that, then I really knew that I was going to be okay. I was good.
I'm still doing that.
I mean, it changed my whole life. You know, all
yeah.
the things that I thought I was going to do at that time that I had plans, it changed my everything, literally.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps on giving too.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm still so very grateful, you know.
Yes.
So very grateful. Yes.
I am too. The doctors,
Absolutely.
the physical therapists, the family, the friends that help.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing, but it's still amazing to me.
Yeah, you do need a big support team. Like Eric was saying, like, you know, what kind of support did you have? You do need a lot of understanding people around you. And I, you know, my family was very, very understanding and very, very helpful. Mm-hmm.
It takes that. It takes everything. And then on the other side of it, on the negative side, are the people that look at you like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, yeah, so.
I think about it quite a bit, and I don't think
Mm-hmm.
about it as being scared anymore. I mean, after all these years, I'm probably still afraid of it. I met at a Guillain-Barré meeting, I met an airline pilot that had it twice.
Oh, wow, there cases like that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that
Absolutely.
is, I don't mean to sound stupid, but is that what CIPD means? The chronic inflammatory polyneuropathy?
That's more like if you have CIDP, you're going to pretty much have it. I don't like to say for the rest of your life, but if it starts out with GBS and you see that you're not getting better, there's a possibility that it's going to be CIDP. And then you will have to have the immunoglobulin, you will have to have treatments every 8 weeks, or unless you go into remission. You can go into remission with CIDP. A lot of people do. And then it could possibly come back, you know. Yeah, absolutely. But it's a, you know, it's kind of rough, but there's a lot of people that manage it, you know.
You have to.
And over. Yeah.
My doctor said, I thought you were going to stick a gun in your head. You're so active, you know, and it wasn't anything like that. I didn't even think about that. I just thought, woo, how are we going to get through this?
Right. And you do, you know, you manage, you do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Serena, I'm so happy we were able to share your story, because I think that's so important. You know, we're having, you know, really survivor stories, you know, from all different types, sides, and great stories. But GBS is so little known. People know so little about that. There has to be that awareness. I think even for, you know, the doctors out there that might not consider even thinking about the diagnosis like that, because maybe some doctors never in their whole career come across it.
Right.
You know, and then
they visit you in the hospital, doctors from out of state. And
that's true.
Well, you said even the CDC came to you, and I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
they
that
admitted
is.
me to the hospital. And then there's the doctors that tell the nurses, when you go in for a doctor's visit, get her reflexes.
Right.
Yeah,
they used to get mine. Let's say, oh no, she's
ones.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't have any, you know.
Right. They used to tell me, oh, she's getting worse. I'm like,
oh yeah,
no, don't. You know, in my mind, I'm getting better. You can say whatever you want, but you have to have a positive attitude. You know, you're trying to heal.
I'm so happy I met you, Liz.
I'm so happy I met you.
you are really something, and you've done wonderful things for Guillain-Barré, and letting people know that this is a real thing, and you are a real star and a gifted, wonderful designer. And
thank you.
That says so much to people that have Guillain-Barré or CIPD. That there's somebody like you around.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All
Well,
right.
Liz, I'm going to leave it to you to close the show. This is literally your show today.
Thank you.
All right. So Serena, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your beautiful story. And you have had a happy ending, and you're still, vibrant and doing certain things. And we wish you all the best. And thank you again for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do you have anything you would like to leave with our guests? Anything motivational, something you want to tell another GBS patient who is going to hear this and view this?
Yes, call me. I know some people that are absolutely fabulous with helping you get better.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And like you
Okay.
said before, it's a bond.
Right. It is. It is. And you can find Serena. She's on Facebook, serenatremaine.com. I mean, yeah, on Facebook.
And
right?
I have the Bikini Network taking my own website. I had Sexy Serena, Chance of a Lifetime.
Woo,
Yes.
girl.
I love it. I love it.
All right. We'll put all your information below so people can contact you.
Thank you.
Life is not over.
No.
Hey,
No, it's
still do
not.
things. That's right. So we wish you all the best, Serena.
Thank you.
Okay.